Yeah, so welcome to Digital Music Masters,
That's streaming.
episode 2. So, hello YouTube, we are live. Hello Facebook, we are live.
Facebook, we are live.
DMM episode 2, here we go.
We are live everywhere.
So today's episode, or this week's episode, is all about electronic songwriting.
Yep.
So Christopher's been doing a lot of videos about technical stuff.
Very.
So about compressors, about limiters, about gain staging, about equalizers.
Yep.
But today we're going to mix it up a little bit and we're going to talk about songwriting, more specifically for electronic musicians.
So, Thomas, what would you like, in terms of songwriting, what's like, for me, let's say that my biggest tip for mixing is gain staging. Let's say, what's the equivalent to you? Like, something that is easily overlooked, but it's so fundamental.
Music theory.
Yeah.
Knowing music theory.
Within that. Okay, so let's say that mixing is music theory, gain staging is...
Knowing what notes fit together, like...
And what's that?
Like learning your major scales, your minor scales, the different types of chords.
Why they work together and stuff
yeah,
like that.
because you do get a lot of composers. Of course, you need to know how like music actually works.
Yeah.
But your ear is the most important thing. If you can't train your ear, there's no point learning music theory. However, if you don't know about music theory, what's the point of yeah.
Indeed. So, because music theory, how I see it is music theory is basically just the language of music. It's the language of songwriting, Much like they say maths is the language of science.
Yeah. So we've got a question from Prank IT. Can you tell me something about loops? I want to download some new loops. Depends what digital audio workstation you're using. If you're using Apple, there's tons of Apple loops. If you want to use another company, Vengeance, have some great loops. Unfortunately, they're not free. Xver 2, they have some great samples. Unfortunately, not free. If you want free ones, either A, make your own. Go out with like a little handy recorder.
Yeah.
So if you look over here, I'll show you ours. So we've got a little handy recorder over here. So this allows you to plug in different microphones. You've got a shotgun mic. We're actually using this to record the audio now. So if you watch on Facebook, it's like a Zoom H5. So get a handy recorder, go and record stuff, record drum samples, record stuff around your house, record fan samples, and turn it into something musical.
Yeah.
Or B, just use the Apple loops, or use Fruity Loops, or use the loops in Ableton. Depends what digital audio workstation you're using. Logic Pro, yeah, there's tons of loops in Logic Pro. Make sure you go on preferences and download all additional content, and that way, yeah, there's thousands of them.
Start with what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking for, tech house bass loops. Type that into Google Apple loop and then Apple loops or whatever, and find the sites, bookmark the sites that, just seem to be the best. Like Loop Masters have some free stuff, I think. Freesound.org is quite good, but if you're actually making your own loops and rendering to audio, those are yours. Like no one else has those.
Yeah. I love doing found sounds.
Yeah.
So go out, record your own sounds. It could be like banging stuff in the kitchen, turn that into a sample, turn that into a bit of audio, make a drum kit out of it. If you're using Logic Pro, have a look at the EXS24. That's an amazing sampler. Chris and I actually did loads of videos about that recently in our sound design synthesis course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you want new sounds, learn sound design, learn the principles of sound design, and then you'll just be able to use the synths that you've got. Because you might think that, if you're like loading a synth and cycling through the presets and you think you've heard it all, that's not the case. Like, there are 100 times more sounds that you can get out of a synthesizer if you just learn what those dials and sliders do,
Yep, so we've got a question from Knight. Best synths in your opinion? I love Serum, I think that's awesome. And I really like the wavetable synth that Ableton Live 10 just introduced. I think that's awesome as well. There's stuff like Massive, which is pretty good. It's got 4 different oscillators, but for me personally, Wavetable and Serum, which is also a wavetable synth. Wavetable comes free with Ableton Live Suite. Well, it's included, not free. It's included with Ableton Live Suite. And Serum, you can do something on Splice. I have no affiliation with them. And you pay $10 a month for 18 months, which I use because I think, oh, there might be a cooler synth come out at some point. I might want to cancel. Or you pay $180 In my opinion, it's worth it. Serum's awesome. But if you've got Ableton Live 10, have a go with Wavetable. They're kind of similar.
Yeah, Splice have quite a lot of. Are they kind of rent to own or like just renting plugins? Like you rent Isotope stuff, I think, on there now.
Can you? Okay.
I think that's what I heard.
Yeah. So Knight says, how can I learn sound design? Any resources?
Well, the first thing that I'll do actually is start like, you know, if you've got Logic Pro, the manuals of the instruments, like there's an Apple Instruments user guide that you can download onto your phone, iBooks, and it'll teach you how the different synths work. But also loading a preset and just reverse engineering it, like unloading it. You know, what does that do to the sound when I do that or whatever? But also like learn the theory. Obviously, we have a sound design Logic Pro course that's available, but you know, just the Apple guide, the Apple official guide is a really good resource for learning how the synthesizers work. I quite like RetroSynth and ES2 in Logic Pro because, you know, they're really simple and easy to use, but you know, you can get a lot of sounds out of them. You're welcome.
Cool. So any more questions, drop them in the Facebook DMM Digital Music Masters group, or drop them in my YouTube channel. But yeah, we're going to continue talking about songwriting for electronic producers. But I do think it's a thing that's overlooked quite a lot. The main thing is music theory, man. Like knowing your genre, knowing what you want to write, because there's certain techniques, but also learn. It sounds really obvious, but learn how the keyboard works. The major scales, minor scales, modal scales. Know what notes clash, what notes don't clash.
Yeah.
It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but
pays off though.
Yeah.
Pays off. You know, it's like a guitarist learning their scales.
Yeah. So we got a question from Prank IT. I'm not able to open my older Logic projects in Logic Pro X. Any solutions? So if you've got Logic Pro 9, they should all open in Logic Pro 10.
Yeah, that's something that should...
You won't be able to open Logic Pro 10 projects in Logic Pro 9, but vice versa, it should work.
It should work. Maybe perhaps post that into the Facebook group after this, or, you know, someone will be able to help you out with that. There's no good reason that shouldn't be working. How old are these Logic projects? What version do they go back to? What version of Logic were you using them on?
Oh, if it's like Logic Pro 7, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Can you explain the circle of fifths? I don't understand it properly.
That's a good question.
Okay, so it goes around basically in fifths. So you have C major, and if you add a fifth, you get G major, which is a relative major. And if you go backwards, it goes to F major, which is also a relative major. And then from G major, it goes around again to D major, which is the relative major. And then another fifth from D major is A major, which is the relative modulation. Then go around again, it goes to A major, E major, B major, I think C sharp major. Anyway, it goes round in fifths, and the one next to it is the one it can easily modulate to. So if you go to the next one, it changes by one sharp or flat, and if you go the other way, it changes by one sharp or flat. So C major in the middle. If you move to G major, that has one sharp. If you move to F major that way, it has one flat. And from F major, it will go to B flat major, which has two flats, and continuing round, it adds more flats every single time. And going clockwise, it adds sharps. So from G major to D major, it adds two sharps. D major to A major has three sharps. So it's just adding a sharp or a flat every time, or that way. Depends on what you're looking at here. So clockwise adds a sharp, anti-clockwise adds a flat. And when you modulate, you really want to go to the ones next to it. So modulation means you change key. So when you change your key, you want to move to ones close to it, and that'll sound most natural, unless you want something really wild. Cool. So I hope that makes sense.
So does that answer that question as well?
Yeah, so if you're inside the circle of fifths, and try to remember the exact diagram.
So the question being, so do relative major and relative minor would
together? So the relative minor of C major is A minor, and that has the same number of notes. The minor is basically just the mode. It's the sixth mode, so the Aeolian mode, if that makes any sense. So it's the sixth note up is the minor. Plays the same notes, but starts on the sixth note up. So C major to A minor, and then G major to E minor. Has one sharp. That makes sense. So it just starts on the sixth note up and has the number of incidentals, so number of sharps or flats is the major, starts 6 notes up, and that's what a relative minor is. Hope that makes sense. Do you understand it?
That was strong.
Chris got it.
Yeah, man. That was really strong.
Thanks, Knight.
Cheers, Knight. And I'll catch you in a bit, Frank. Hi, T.
Frank, thank you for stopping
very
by.
much for stopping by, indeed. I'm going to have fun, you guys, with your live stream.
Thanks. We'll be doing this every week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, so UK time. So let us know where you're watching as well. It'd be quite interesting to know where people are watching from, what time zone it is. Of course, if it's like 4 in the morning, it's probably not an ideal time to stream.
Yeah. But it's at any given point, it's a time in another part of the world. I don't know what I'm saying.
Anyway, so we got a question from Steve Howarth. Best way to sync a vocal in Logic Pro to the project BPM. Try Flex Tool and changing the BPM is a plugin to help. What was that thing you did? Slow down.
Very speed.
Very
that
speed.
That won't work because actually the way to do this in Logic is I actually made a tutorial about this once. Okay, so in the vocal, find 8 bars. Okay, I've got this. In the vocal, find 8 bars. Yes. Find 8 bars in the vocal. Trim the region so that when you loop that region, it's exactly 8 bars. Like it's basically perfect. And then create a cycle region in the project that's 8 bars. And then go to edit something, match region to locators.
Oh yeah. I have done that. Yeah, I have done that. Yeah.
It's like that. That's it.
And it to the locators. Or,
so it goes. It's you're telling Logic, this in the audio is 8 bars.
Yeah.
Right. This in Logic is 8 bars.
Yep.
Go. You know, and it will just map the BPM to it.
Yeah.
It might help you as well to preemptively work out the BPM of the vocal. So just count the amount of beats that happen in a minute. Or 15 seconds and then time to go for, but that's technically less accurate. Just larger margin. But yeah, so it's that. It's in the edit and then match the thing. Match like the region to locate.
Cool, Steve, thanks.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to realise without actually having the like if we had Logic open now we could but without it's in the it's in edit.
I mean I can for the most part close my eyes and use Logic. Like
there's something like flex time, or move locators to flex time to like region or something. Yeah,
it's like there. It's there. So it's like when you do it, it's over here on the screen. Close your eyes.
Right. So, any more questions about music theory, about songwriting, about synths, keyboards? Chris as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, what scale should I learn first? Like, what should they be?
All the major scales, all the minor scales, relative minor. So start with C major.
On a keyboard. So
start C major, go around the circle of fifths, go C major, G major, D major, A major, E major, etc. So go all the way around. So learn C major, learn its relative minor, which is A minor, and also just go up 6 notes.
Hey.
So there you go. So C major starts obviously on C, go up 6 notes, which is A. So do the same notes but up, and that is A minor. So C major, A minor, and then go to the next one, which is G major, which has an F sharp, and then the relative minor is, if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, E minor, has that F sharp. I'll play that wrong, but yeah, you get the gist. So go up, learn each major scale, and each major scale, learn each minor scale, and there's 12 of them. So learn 24 scales, every single note, learn the major and the minor, and once you've done that, you can do something called modes. So see if I can remember them. So
I was gonna ask, what's the difference between scales and modes?
So modes is a scale, but it starts on a different note.
Yeah, on any note.
Yeah. So a minor is actually
the intervals are the same.
Not intervals, no. The notes are the same, but played in different orders. That's all the mode is. So it's Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixed Lydian, Aeolian, Locrian. They're the modes. So that's the name. So it's basically playing the note but starting on a different scale, starting a different note at the scale. So D Dorian would be C major, but starting on the second note D. So it's the same notes in C, but it's not the same as D major. There's certain techniques. So for Dorian, you flatten the third, flatten the seventh, and that turns it into a Dorian. Yeah.
Because
there's techniques for all of them.
In terms of semitone intervals, the mode defines that. Like,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then what your tonic is kind of defines the scale from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So a mode is just yeah, a different way of playing the scale. But if you had D Dorian, there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it as flatten the third, flatten the seventh, make it Dorian, or you can look at it as a second note of C major. So there's two ways. There's techniques to work each one out, or you can just, the easy way is just look at it and think, oh, this is kind of like, you know, a C major or something, but starting on a different note. So that's what a mode is. Yeah, so learn all the major scales, learn all the minor scales, and after that, learn the modes. But most important is major scales, minor scales. It's 24 of them to learn. It's going to take you a while, realistically.
I imagine, or from what I know, a lot of electronic music producers, they will start life with a chord progression.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, is that advisable? And that's kind of like the, you know, the musical kind of skeleton of the song?
I would say, from my experience, there's three ways you can start a song. One, chord progression, build from there. Two, melody, and build chord progressions around the melody. Yeah. So if you land on a certain note, you sing a certain note, there's not only one chord progression you can use, there's several.
Would it?
And the third one is start from a drum beat.
Would it be fair to say that if you start from a melody, you have a bit more freedom in terms of the arrangement? Because it's just a lot easier to build different chord progressions from the melody. Because, or would you say that it's it's less limiting to start with a chord progression?
I would say
find another chord progression.
If you think of a really awesome melody, start with that. If you think of an awesome chord progression, start with that. Whatever you think sounds good, doesn't really matter. Like if I think of a melody, I'm like, this melody is it. This is awesome. I'm starting the song with that. If I think of a really nice, interesting chord progression, start the song with that. If I think of a really cool drum beat, start with that. If I think of a really cool, I don't know, amazing lyric, weave that in somehow. It depends. Yeah.
So yeah, so it kind of, people work differently, right? Some people just have to start from chords, and some people have to start from melodies.
A lot of singer-songwriters, I'm not really a singer, but a lot of singer-songwriters, they just kind of jam out on the guitar and play until something comes to them. That's another typical one. I don't really advocate that, because I think it's better to have structure and have kind of tools in the bag than to just mess around until something arrives, but it depends. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we talked about scales, modes, and chords. Where would one's music theory journey go from there?
Writing songs.
Writing songs.
Yeah. Either play with a band, jam out with a band, or use a digital audio workstation and just yeah, make some music from there. Have some guide tracks, have tracks, obviously don't copy them at all, but have some tracks maybe a similar style, similar kind of vibe, have a listen to them and maybe kind of get inspiration from that, but obviously don't plagiarize.
Do not plagiarize.
No.
Cool, excellent. Okay, so any other questions that we got?
Cool.
Anything else within songwriting and music theory that, you know, you think people just need to know, or like an unlock or something like that, that someone might be stuck? Like what I hear a lot from people is, especially in the electronic stuff, is they can't finish. And sometimes I hear that is like, I just don't know how to resolve my music. Do you can you relate to that?
Yeah.
Do you have an unlock for that?
I feel like I've never finished a song. I just
yeah, sure.
do it until it's good enough. I'm like, yeah, that'll do. Put it out. Just put it out. What I do a lot of time, Chris has probably had this a lot, is I just send it to a mastering engineer. I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
And then once they've mastered it, then it's finished. It's done. I can't, because I've spent money on the mastering engineer. I'm not going to go back and jiggle it around. Like, it's good enough.
Yeah.
The master engineer can like polish it up. That's it.
But in terms of like finishing the structure of a song, like how to end it.
Yeah.
Because I've fallen into literally the loop before, where I'm building something. I'm like, how do I end this? I can't seem to not finish it like I'm done with it, but like resolve the piece, like resolve it. Like, how do you do that?
I don't think you can just.
Okay, cool.
Have someone else to tell if it's good. It's done. So we've got a question from Eamon.
Eamon.
Guys, you know any resources on the topic of arrangement and composition? I don't know where to take the music at times. I've got a course on songwriting on Logic Pro. I've got a course on electronic music theory for electronic producers. There's a guy who used to teach me, a really good songwriter called Andy West. He's got a book all about songwriters. There's another guy who used to teach me at music college called Danny Cope. He's got a song, a book all about songwriting. So check out Andy West's songwriting book. Just type in Google Andy West songwriting and Danny Cope songwriting. Those, if you want a book, I recommend those guys. These guys really know what all about. If you want an online course, I've got that as well. Yeah, it depends if you prefer learning by books. Depends if you learn by people in person, or depends if you want like video courses. But yeah, they're people that I know personally who know what they're on about.
Cool, excellent. Anything else on music theory, songwriting?
Learn the basics, learn how melodies work, listen to a lot of music consciously. Even if you don't like the song, just listen to it. You might be able to take a gem from it.
What about learning piano lessons, taking piano lessons?
I don't think you need to know, because a lot of piano lessons is technique, like arpeggios, shapes. If you're using a digital audio workstation, do you really need perfect technique?
Yeah, sure.
You can just speed stuff up. Of course it can help. Like I'd say learning jazz harmony would help more than learning piano lessons. But like Deadmau5 doesn't play the piano, but he's trained his ear. He does know about scales of chords, but he knows it subconsciously.
Okay, and I was going to say something about that. Where does one begin to harmonize? Like
begin.
Yeah, like how do you
keep it simple? Fourths, fifths.
Okay, cool.
Octaves. Then expand from there.
Because that can really help build a structure out. Can't
Yeah.
it? Like it can really help you take you from this place to this place.
Yeah.
Like in a seamless transition. You know.
So we got a question from Ashley. How best to learn programming drums? The drum rack in Ableton Live makes it so easy to program drums. Like there is, what's that native instrument one? Battery. There's Battery, which is similar to the drum rack. So if you're using, say, Logic or different DAW, maybe have a look at Battery by Native Instruments. But yeah, the drum rack, it's so easy, so easy. You can add like arpeggiators to like the hi-hats and stuff. I know you do hip-hop, so if you want to add arpeggiators to the snares, you can change the pitch. Yeah, the drum rack's awesome.
How does that compare to Logic Pro's? Oh, I don't know.
Ultrabeat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ultrabeat's good as well.
Yeah.
I like Ultrabeat, but I prefer Ableton Live's drum rack.
What I love about Ultrabeat is that it's a synth.
You can get some really cool, weird stuff. Yeah. If you're using Logic, have a play around with Ultrabeat. I've got a couple of lectures on that in my complete Logic Pro course. You probably find other stuff online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. That's good stuff. Okay, so that was the drums question. And okay, cool. Rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So chords, great, scales, great, melodies. Like I heard someone say something like Michael New or something like that. Like he's an online music theory guy, and he said something that I thought was really cool. He was like, in melodies, it's all about the gaps.
Okay.
So how do you figure out the rhythm of a melody or of a chord progression or?
Listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, okay.
Listen to a lot of music. Practice playing the drums, maybe. Not necessarily a drum kit, but like finger drums. Listen to drums a lot. Listen to the relationship between the kick drum and the bass. That's important. But yeah, listen to a lot of music. Listen to stuff that's interesting. Listen to stuff like Square Pusher or Aphex Twin or something like that. Something where they're a little bit more unique, where they've got some pretty crazy drum parts.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty crazy rhythms.
Maybe don't start.
Have a listen to like people like Dave
crazy.
Brubeck, who uses a lot of different time signatures, like the famous song Take 5, which is obviously in 5/4. Even bands like Dream Theater, Pink Floyd, are a little bit more proggy, interesting rhythms. Depends what you want to do. But
yeah,
if you're doing electronic music, check out some people that do some weird rhythms. Just not so you can make weird music too, just so you know it exists, just so you know it's there.
Yeah, kind of opens up your mind a bit in a way.
Then conscious or subconsciously, you might kind of try and emulate that a little bit, change it around. I used to play the bass. That's pretty good for rhythm. Play the bass synth. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we got a question from Sky Jump Toes.
Ski Jump Toes.
Ski Jump Toes. What do you think about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to read that?
Okay. What do you think about getting stoned as you come up with ideas? Think it opens your mind more. I don't take any drugs. Of course, certain musicians do, like Jimi Hendrix, for example, or Pink Floyd. I don't know. Maybe it does, but it's not really a lifestyle or stuff that I want to get involved with, because in the long term, it's not going to.
Yeah.
You're not going to really get anything done.
That's a lifestyle choice, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Nowadays, I think,
really
like, if you're using digital audio workstations, you have to be quite technical. I think you have to be focused, and if you're not focused, if you're kind of daydreaming or whatever, I don't know. I don't advocate it. I don't take any drugs. It might work. I don't know, but it's probably not a very good idea.
Yeah. I don't buy into the idea, though, that you have to do that to unlock creativity.
I think a lot of these artists who are famous for taking drugs, like Miles Davis, or Charlie Parker, was already amazing at their instrument.
Yeah.
And then the scene they're involved in, they accidentally accidentally got involved with that. Miles Davis didn't become an amazing trumpet player because he took drugs. Miles Davis became an amazing trumpet player because he practiced his ass off.
Yeah.
And he was naturally very good and played with some amazing musicians like
It just happened. That
like
happened
Bill
to be
Evans
his lifestyle,
and John Coltrane. If you play with those guys, you're going to get good, and that unfortunately became part of his lifestyle. So that's my take on it.
Yep.
Yeah. Try not to.
Yeah.
Break the boundaries of demonetization.
Next question. Cool. So we talked about rhythm, talked about harmony, talked about scales, talked about modes, talked about chords. But song structure, like, how does one get out of the 8-bar loop? You know what I mean? Like, that's such a challenge.
Put in a bar of 9.
No, what
Put
I mean,
something else in.
What I mean is not that. What I mean is to the next one. How do I get from this to this?
Okay, stuff like modulation, key changes. Going back before, look at circular fifths, and there's really advanced stuff like tritone substitution. If you know about your jazz, some crazy stuff. Have a look at people like John Coltrane. There's a song called Giant Steps, which is mind blowing. There's some a lot more interesting ways of creating music like that. I'd say listen to a lot of jazz music as well, because they do put a unique spin, especially on the different chords they use and how they blend together. I
find cinematic soundtracks.
Oh, cinematic soundtracks inspiring. Yeah, some film composers amazing. I really like the film score by John Murphy on 28 Days Later. Personally, depends. Yeah. Too. We got a question from Sky Jump Toes. I find that unique quantized patterns helps. Are logic you can bring through all the original MC patterns? Yeah, you can get the grooves.
Groove.
You get the groove pool in Ableton Live as well, which is pretty cool. So you can actually customize your own grooves in Live 10 now, and you can drag them in. I think you might be able to do it in 9, but in 10 you definitely can. So you can drag in your own grooves and create your own groove patterns. Yeah, you can do it in Logic as well. There's certain things as well that I like to use. I don't like to quantize it all the way. In Ableton Live anyway, you can quantize like 90%, 80%, so you still get that human feel. Yeah. And then you can still quantize it, because none of us can play perfect. But last year, like, I don't know. An amazing like prog rock drummer. But yeah, and then just kind of mostly quantize it, so you get human element and you get it in time. So Eamon, sorry. My music sounds okay-ish with headphones when unplugging the stereo field. It's all over the place. Any quick handy tips on where to start bringing it back to where it's from in the headphone sound? Chris,
if you mix with headphones, you will get a headphone mix. Like it's the that's just the real thing, because headphones aren't stereo. Like they obviously are stereo, but that's like left, that's right. But
extreme. There's
a lot more to a 3-dimensional soundstage than the left stuff going in here, then the right stuff going in there. So headphones are a compromised stereo listening situation, because I could go, it's a hit with my headphones though. I mean, make the hit I would focus on making it sound great with speakers that are set up, calibrated, you've got the equilateral triangle and everything, and then just make sure it's so much more likely that the speakers are going to translate to the headphones in terms of stereo than the headphones are going to translate out to the speakers.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of reasons why headphones aren't true stereo. So I'm going to go into brief detail about this because I could be here all day. Imagine yourself with two speakers. Okay, one's over there, one's over there. This is hearing that, and that is hearing that. So your left ear is hearing the right. The left ear is hearing the right speaker at a lower intensity because your head is masking that, but also later because this is longer than that, and vice versa. And that information, your brain has evolved to interpret that information as sound localization. You know, so in a survival context, the tiger over there growls, right? And that signal is hitting your right ear and hitting your left ear, but ever so slightly later in your left ear.
Yeah.
And with a slightly different sound because between there and over there is your head. So the head masks the sound. That stuff doesn't happen in headphones because you pan something to the left on the headphones,
Boom.
it goes in the left. That's it. There's no interaural intensity or time difference. But in true stereo there is. And a bunch of other reasons. I'm not going to go into much detail. I do have a blog about this.
Okay.
If you go on unlockyoursound.com/stereo, that will explain that stuff.
Nice.
One day I decided to write 2,000 words.
So there's ski jump toes. Another one, the headphones can mess your ears up long term. Yeah, they can.
Loud audio over long periods of time can mess up your ears. My advice with that is calibrate every piece of monitoring that you have to a fixed loudness. Like my mastering setup, it's fixed output gain. That dial that changes the playback level, I don't touch it. That's it. I calibrated it once.
Glue it.
Yeah, I've got like post-it notes and
really?
things saying don't touch this.
Yeah.
Because and I've calibrated that to a comfortable loudness, my listening level that I listen to music at, and I don't ever change it. And that means not only have I internalized one listening level in my brain, so I'm not so confused and I can measure loudness and dynamics and EQ with my ears, but also I can work for extremely long hours and not feel fatigued.
Listening fatigue is a big one.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen. I've removed that problem. It's gone. And it's as simple as that. So fix your monitoring level, find a comfortable listening level and fix it. It's not always practical for people to do that, but at least try and find a pseudo version of that in your setup. You're welcome, Eamon.
So any more questions about songwriting, composing, music theory?
Songwriting, composing, music theory, rhythm, scales, modes, jazz, harmony.
I'll say just, if you're struggling with it, just write a lot of music and just try and improve every time.
Practice, yeah.
Your first song you ever write, or one of your first songs you ever write, should be very embarrassing when you listen back to it after a while.
Yeah.
It should be like, cringeworthy. And if it's not, you're doing something wrong. If it's not cringeworthy, it means you're not you're not growing.
In the context of art, you can't just learn all of the things by the book and be good overnight. You know, you have to pull it in. Your ear has to develop, your taste, your palate has to develop. Yeah. Region, automation versus track. Okay, so if I apply automation to a region, it stays with that region. You know, if I move that region, the automation goes with it. With track automation, that doesn't happen. You know, I use track automation if I just want to automate the macro, the large scale volume movements that I want to make. One isn't better than the other. It's dependent on what you're doing. You know, if I'm going to use that piece of automation frequently in my arrangement, then I do a region automation and loop it or copy and paste.
Yeah, I'd say if you're arranging your track and you're going to move stuff around, use region automation.
Yeah, if you've got if you've done like a build up, and a part of that build up is a volume increase, like a fader automation like that, and you're going to use it again, pull it in a region, copy and paste that region. Otherwise, if it's just things that you're automating over the course of the song, then track automation.
Yeah. Cool. Good question. Good answer.
Yeah. Good question. Indeed. Lovely
But
and
I'd
specific.
say any kind of composing, songwriting, most of it's arrangement. And if you bring in a lead instrumentalist, for example, maybe a sax player or most commonly a vocalist, I normally like to rearrange the entire track again around them. Because if there's a lead instrument, it's called lead for a reason, because it's the lead, people are going to be listening to it. So don't be all kind of precious about your music. If there's a lead instrument there and it's improving the song, rearrange the track all around that. I've spent many times just kind of painfully moving the parts that I thought were awesome around just to fit in the mix and make a good song, not get too precious about your parts. I normally write crazy amounts and it ends up like whoop. Yeah.
What about do you believe kind of in general that if you're good at a particular part of songwriting, you're just really good at that you should collaborate with people who can fill in your gaps and stuff like that? I actually know people, what I've seen quite a lot of, and I find this movement very interesting, is that people are like getting their ideas down, like their song down, a lot of their stuff, and then they outsource some of the other production stuff to like people on Fiverr. Like, oh, I need you to make a loop
And
for
they
me
call
or
it
something like that.
under their own brand or name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say
Depends what it is and why
I
you're
would
doing
say collaborate with interesting different musicians.
Yeah.
There's a friend of mine, Peter Darlin. I love collaborating with him. He's an awesome singer. He really brings loads of stuff to the table. When me and him write songs together, it sounds so much different than what I can do.
Yeah.
And I add a lot of stuff for him as well. I do a lot of the production electronic side that he's not a specialist in. He's really good at songwriting. So when we collaborate, we create something interesting that we couldn't really do independently. Try and collaborate with people who are as good, if not better than you, so you can learn from them. If you're collaborating with people who are kind of rubbish, you're going to be always constantly leading there, and you might not grow. There's another guy, Will Fox Roberts, who's like a folk operatic singer. You heard him the other day.
Yeah.
He's like completely the opposite style of my music, like folk operatic, and we collaborated and there's some projects together. And that was really interesting because I don't really know much about opera, and I definitely don't know much about folk operatic. So he learned a lot about electronic stuff, and I learned a lot about this kind of classical world that he was involved in. So it's new skills, new ideas to learn from. Got another question. So many people back out when it comes to getting a vocalist. Yeah, it's a huge part of most songs, and there's so many vocalists out there waiting, wanting the opportunity. Yeah, it depends. I would say most people resonate more with vocals than with instrumental music because non-musicians have a voice that can resonate it. Like pretty much everyone's got a voice, so when they hear the voice, they can resonate. There's lyrics they can easily hook onto. Music for a non-musician isn't as easy to hook onto unless there's something really obvious. Obviously, for a musician or composer, producer, like for me, most 90% of music I listen to is instrumental, but the masses want instrumental track.
Makes sense.
If you look in the top 20 now, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, 18, 19 of them are going to have a vocalist. It's just what the numbers are. So I don't know, if you want to make a pop hit, get a vocalist. If you want to make a cool, interesting instrumental piece of music, of course there's people like Deadmau5 who still make massive hits and it's all instrumental, but some of his biggest hits do have vocals as well.
Deadmau5 is an anomaly to most things.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. I mean, and he certainly acts like an anomaly, doesn't he? Like, especially in his live streams.
Yeah.
He's quite entertaining.
Yeah.
He's in a quiet taste though. Kygo, thoughts on Kygo's new style?
I've only really heard like his old stuff, to be fair. I've got a Kygo preset on Serum. Obviously it has very tropical sound. I haven't really heard much of his new stuff, to be honest. What are your thoughts on it, leader of Bats? Interesting name. So yeah. But yeah, have you heard of Kygo's new stuff? He's laughing at sorry, leader of Bats. He's laughing at Kygo's new. Have you heard of Kygo's new stuff? I've only really heard the hits.
I can tell you what his old stuff, or his or her old or they. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's like tropical house, kind of very riffy bass. Yeah, it's good though. It's nice. Yeah.
Noted. I will possibly subscribe to a playlist. Or however people do that.
Anyway, any more questions about composing, songwriting, music theory? Because I do think music theory is very important. Play an instrument, if not just for music theory, just for a bit of fun, get you away from the computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a piano downstairs that I like to play just for fun. guitars knocking around, little instruments. That way you can just consciously think what you're playing.
Triangle.
Write a song and an instrument you're not used to is a good one. Like, for example, the Push or the Push 2 in Ableton Live. Completely different to a keyboard. So when you write music on there, it really sounds different. Or write music on a guitar if you're not really a guitarist. That way you get away from the same shapes, you get away from the same ideas. Yeah.
Anything that will break your existing process.
Pattern, yeah.
But, you know, like just make you think anew.
Yeah.
In a way.
Collaborating's a big one.
Yeah.
Find people to collab with. But like I said before, try and get people who are as good or better than you. If anything, really, you want to be in a band or you want to be in like a project where you're the worst one there, because you're gonna like step your level up to compete. No one wants to be seen as the idiot, so you're gonna compete with them, step up, and you probably learn a lot from them. If you just compete with people who are new to the game, maybe not learn as much, but it might be quite good for like a social activity.
Oh, cool.
So Leader Bat says he really likes Kygo's new stuff. His old stuff was good, but the new piano and vocal chops is very cool and different. It's cool. I made the name in middle school. I know it's kind of dumb.
No, I think it's
it's memorable. It's very memorable.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to remember Leader of Bats.
It's just the way that you use like, thank you, Leader of Bats. Like you're.
Yeah. Well, I'll check it out. Yeah, I did like his old stuff. It's nice. Talking about Kygo. Any more questions, Christopher?
I'm so out of touch, man. I'm so out of touch. You know what I mean? I'm kind of an old audio engineer.
Old engineer. Christopher, any more questions about songwriting, composing? Oh, we got a question from Ski Jump Toes. Do you guys ever suffer gearless? Oh, yes. If you're not getting anyway, great. And if so, yeah, how do you die for it? Getting back in the wagon. Yeah, it's that shiny new thing. Anything that's shiny and new, I love looking at gear and equipment. Yeah, I love going to music production shops. There's one in the area that I live in. It's a music production shop, and I'm not allowed to go in there. I tell myself I'm not allowed to go in because every time I go in there, I end up buying stuff. Even when I just go to look and end up buying stuff because you think the shiny new toy can improve what you're doing. At the end of the day, I don't know. There's loads of great musicians who made stuff on very basic equipment. You don't really need the new shiny stuff.
This is kind of how you know, you're either looking at new gear because you have a problem and that new gear is going to solve it, and that's probably the right way to go about shopping for new gear. But if you're just browsing, I don't know, Sweetwater over there, or if you're just window browsing because you've got some downtime,
check out this new music or something.
That might not be the best motivation to spend money. You know, but if you have a particular problem and that problem is because the equipment, and it genuinely is because your current equipment is limiting you, then cool. Gear lust is great.
It's an expensive hobby, but
yeah.
Okay.
If I post you a link.
If you post a link, yeah. If you want to head over to Digital Music Masters, so facebook.com/group/Digital Music Masters, or just type in Facebook Digital Music Masters. It's a group. We'll let you into the group, and you can post your music on there for feedback. It's not a place for spamming. It's not a place for trying to get views on your tracks. It's a place if you want genuine feedback, and it's more of a community where we share ideas of each other. So if you want to spam, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, the posts are moderated. So
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
What's that?
Oh, thank you.
You have advice on how to get into the industry like you guys. I'm not looking to build. I'm not looking to be some huge star, but build a brand, make content, build a brand, get people interested, get people on your side, make friends. You know, just really put yourself out there, and you know, because all of the good things that happen as you build your success come from other people. So you need to communicate out what it is that you bring to the community, and that is just people. We're all in the people business. That's how it all works. Perfect, guys. Thanks. No spam.
Yeah, I just. Oh yeah, cool. Iman, is that name right?
Eamon.
Sorry, yeah. If it's just for feedback, if you want advice about music production, you want to grow as a producer, sure, put it in the group. It's fine. Leader of Bats again. I'd also say go to local meetups. Where I live in the city Leeds, I go to the Ableton Live meetup. I go to a lot of different music production meetups. A lot of them are Facebook. So if you live in the big city, they're going to have a lot of different meetups.
Yeah.
Maybe even do an evening class. That's a good way to meet people. So if you want to, say you want to improve at songwriting, do like an intermediate songwriting evening class. Spend like £100 or something on the evening class, and you meet loads of other people who want to get into songwriting. It's a great way to do it. Of course, there's places like music institutions, but do cost quite a bit of money, but I'd say local meetups, most of them are free nowadays, which is pretty cool. I was chatting to the guy from the Ableton Live meetup the other day who was running that. He was really knowledgeable.
If you get the Meetup app or meetup.com.
Not necessarily a meetup, just Facebook has got loads of them as well.
But physical or groups or whatever. Yeah,
that's the best way because everyone there is in the same boat as you. They want to learn about, I don't know, Ableton Live or whatever, and they're there to learn about it. And
grow out your network and focus on bringing value to other people, because that's how you make an impression. You know, and then that's how people start supporting you. You know, and your stuff. But
some like the Ableton Live one I go to, the skill level's really high. I thought everyone would be really newbie. I thought it'd be like asking really basic questions, but it's pretty advanced. Some of the stuff people have come over, like all about Max for Live and that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's worth going to. So yeah, local meetups, I'd say the main one. As Chris is saying, maybe even go to gigs. And it's not as specific, but if it's a really like niche gig with a certain artist that you're really into, go there. There's there's the city I live in now. There's like it's called Leeds Digital. It's Leeds Digital Fest. There's a festival, all digital. Artists, digital performers, digital marketing. There's loads of people they can learn from. DJ Pickle. Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't got my my glasses.
Yeah, it's DJ Pickle.
DJ Pickle. If I am new to creating electronic music, what should I do first? I'm still in school. I have been taking piano classes. I'm into music theory right now. Yep, doing the right thing. Piano lessons, music theory. That's how I started, doing piano lessons in music theory. Just get a digital audio workstation. If you're still in school, probably ask around your other classmates who are into music as well, and ask if they want to like jam, write a song together. Good way to get started. That's how I started playing in rock bands and stuff. So see if there's anyone at your school who's into music that wants to make a song together. It's probably the easiest way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. Good question. Cool. Is there anything else that's on your mind about theory and songwriting and stuff like that?
I think a lot of it is just learn the scales, learn the basics. DJ Pickle, he's got Ableton Suite. Yeah, Ableton Suite's awesome bit of kit. Loads of stuff you can learn on that.
You could drop your Ableton questions in the group as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Facebook group, Digital Music Masters Facebook group.
Yeah, start off with learning the drum rack, learning the basic instruments like operator, learning the basic audio effects like what a compressor is, what an EQ is, what a limiter is, what a chorus is, the basic audio effects, learn some of the MIDI effects like what an arpeggiator is, and then just kind of basically just mess around, listen to a lot of music and try and build from the basics. And then collaborating with other people. When you're just starting off, maybe just collaborate with anyone really, and then when you get a bit more advanced, try and find people who are more like advanced or specialist in other areas. So say you're like me, I'm not really a singer, so I'd team up with a singer. If you want to make a song with a vocalist, they can add something to the table. But yeah, if you're just starting out, write music with anyone. Form like an electronic duo or band or...
Yeah, don't be picky, I suppose.
Yeah, just get involved. It's good for social as well. It's good fun. Especially when you're a lot younger, it's good fun to hang out with your mates and make music. It's more fun than, I don't know, it's more productive than sitting around playing video games, for example.
You guys prefer, from Leader of Bats, you guys prefer Mac or PC? I heard Mac is better for artists, but not sure. There are people who use
pros and cons. If you use a Mac, like it's pretty much all the same. You get a few different models. So say, I don't know, this MacBook Pro breaks here. It's going to be a bit of a pain. There's an Apple store. I can go get another one. If I have a custom built PC, that's good because you can make it exactly how you want. You can really sculpt it to all your specifications. But if that breaks, it could take a long time to get that built again.
Yeah.
Generally, I'd say, I don't know, Mac is easier to get good quality, but PC can be better, but you really need to know your stuff, I would say.
Yeah, with a Mac, you can buy one and you know it's...
You can buy one and you know it's good to go.
You know it's good to go.
Yeah.
With a PC, you kind of have to do a lot more research, a lot more figuring it out. Yeah. There's not one place to go to get it sorted.
Yeah, I would say if you're a DJ or if you're playing gigs, if you're on the road, get a Mac just in case it breaks. You can back up to, say, cloud storage, and you can get another one. If you're using a laptop, unless you're using a really like common laptop, it might be a lot harder. So I'll say if you're at home, if you know your stuff, maybe get a PC. If not, Macs are good, a bit expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're on the road, Mac,
If you
I would say, but they're both fine.
If you want to minimise the amount of IT that you do, I do recommend you go with Apple.
Mac do have a monopoly on certain applications as well. For example, Logic Pro. So if you want to use Logic Pro, you have to have a Mac. Maybe a Hackintosh, but I don't know, yeah.
You might as well get a PC at that point.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Because it's probably just.
There is certain stuff like the Mac Mini I've got down here that we use for some stuff. That's got a boot camp, so it's half Mac, half Windows. But to be honest, I use the Mac 90% of the time. I've just got Windows on there for Fruity Loops, FL Studio.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Leader of Bats.
Yeah. Just in my experience, Mac is just minimal IT, minimal, things that need to be solved. But that's just my experience. There are plenty of artists out there who will tell you that Windows is good and
well, yeah, you can unscrew your PC and update the RAM, change the motherboard around. Mac,
Mac is a product you buy off the shelf. That's the product.
I think the Macs are really designed to last about 4 years. So every 4 years, you've got to get a new one. The PCs you can kind of build over time. It's, I don't know. It's like do you want a car that's ready built, or do you want one you can build yourself?
Yeah.
It's easier just to get one ready built.
Yeah. It's easier to buy a
house than build it yourself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's an analogy, I suppose.
There you go.
We'll go with that.
Cool. If anyone's got any more questions, we're going to hang around for a little bit longer. If not, we would talk a little bit more about music theory, Chris. Because Chris comes from a kind of a sound engineer's background. I come more from a musician's and a composer's background. We both do produce as well. And
yeah.
So like this, like Chris is better at some stuff, I'm better at other stuff. So when we collaborate together, we're both bringing stuff to the table. So any kind of like collaboration, I think that's important. Collaborate with someone that also knows what they're on about, but specializes in certain skills that you don't really specialize in. That way, when you do collaborate, you can both learn from that.
Yeah. I can just talk about compression for as long.
Chris loves talking about engineering topics. Yeah. But you're from a master engineer background, or was it more sound engineer turned into master
sound
design?
Sound design, engineering, sound design / engineering. Yeah. I was producing electronic music, as a teenager, but I got more interested in the sound design stuff.
So, Eamon? I keep on saying your name wrong. Eamon, any advice on automation? Would it be good to layer multiple of the same piece and create different folder stacks in Logic Pro, have more control of different automation sections?
Whatever, own your own workflow. Like if you prefer, this is quite subjective, I think.
Well, one thing I like to do in Logic Pro is kind of recording your own automation, but you can record it on the synth, so you can move the dial and do live automation. That makes it a little bit interesting than just drawing it in. So if you create live automation, you can create more of a feel. In Ableton Live, you can like automate it to, I don't know, like certain knobs or dials like this. You can do it in Logic as well, but it's a bit easier to MIDI map in live. So yeah, I'd say, own your automation, but maybe record it in live. There's live automation you can easily set up in Logic Pro.
Yeah, good answer, man. Cool. Depends what you're automating and why you're automating that, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think for electronic music, so this is from Ski Jump Toes, I think for electronic music, the sounds or tones you create are equally as important as the music theory. Mm-hmm. Most DAWs have theory built in with chord and
No, I agree. The sound and the tones is very important, but don't just rely on. I know Ableton Live, you can use like scale, so whatever notes you play, it plays in scale. But I don't know, you're still limited.
You're always limited. When the solution is easier, you're
it's
limited.
Like you can play a chord and it play arpeggio if you use arpeggio plugin, or you can work out the notes and play it in, and you might be able to come up with something a bit more interesting than just the standard arpeggio or the preset patterns. I'd say you open yourself up to a lot more options if you do learn it properly, rather than tools. Tools are great, but they're tools.
Hey, Chris has a great question.
Okay, Chris.
Chris. Yeah.
Do you ever get writer's block? If so, how can you handle it? Get past when creating music. The stuff that there's these cards from that Brian Eno kind of pioneered called. Do you know what they're called? These cards. No. Oh, there's these little cards and they all say random things on them. I've actually got some in the corner. I didn't buy his because they're like $60 for some cards. I just wrote my own version on. And so you can just write certain things like play it backwards, stand outside, and you can just bleak, what's it called? Oblique strategies, that's the name of the cards. So they're called oblique strategy cards. So it has random stuff built in them. And then, yeah, it's just a technique just to change it up, mess it around, do different stuff. Go outside, go for a walk, get away from the computer.
Take a break.
Take a break.
Maybe write in a completely different way that you've never tried before. Anything that is just, you know,
sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes you just can't do it. Sometimes you're just tired. Sleep on it. Sleep.
Change of environment.
Yeah. Collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd have a look at oblique strategies. You don't have to buy brand new. Well, you can do if you want. But you can just make your own. Just get some old playing cards and write certain things. Like mine say, like play it backwards, stand outside, scream, like loads of random stuff that when I just look at it, I'm like or whatever, and it makes me just kind of snap out of that. But yeah, that's what I like to do.
That's pretty practical, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Any more questions, Christopher, before we head off?
I don't have any more questions for you.
Okay. You had enough music theory. Okay, leader of bats. Do you sometimes feel when you're producing you get a little too inspired by an artist? If so, how do you get past it?
Listen to something else entirely.
Yeah.
Spend a week listening to jazz.
Stop listening to them. Yeah.
Just cut them out.
Yeah. Ski Jump says another technique I've used is to take the WAV MP3 of a commercial song you like and build around it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's really good.
They remove the song out when you have the general feel of the groove that you want. Yeah, you
Really
could have like a similar drum beat,
Reference
similar.
music.
Yeah, reference. Obviously, don't plagiarize. Don't copy the chord progression. Don't anything like that. But if it's similar, yeah,
That's actually really good.
There you go.
Good. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, so find the song, whack it in your digital audio workstation, and yeah, listen to it, but don't copy it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got anything else.
Christopher's got no more questions.
No. I think we've nailed most of the things.
Okay, yeah, so today we want to talk about music theory because we've done on Digital Music Masters, the project me and Chris are involved with the community. It's very technical at the moment, so we're going to bring some more kind of composition elements in.
It's been mostly EQ, compression, and limiting.
Yeah.
Which is obviously great for me.
So if anyone's watching this on YouTube and you want to join the Digital Music Masters community, it's free to join the Facebook group. Just head over to facebook.com/group/Digital Music Masters, or just type in a little bar Digital Music Masters, and yeah, you're welcome to join the group. It's more of a community. We share ideas. Chris and I are doing loads of live streams, loads of videos. If you want to get involved. So another question: How can I? All right.
Okay.
Bit of grammar there. So the same tools as Adele. She sells. How right.
How come I have the same tools as Adele and she sells loads of records and I can't sell any? Well, you know,
she's got Rick Rubin producing her.
But if I had all of the same tools as a,
she's got an amazing voice. Yeah. She's got Rick Rubin producing her. She's got the backing of a huge record label. She's also had a few albums that's very successful before that.
I might have the same.
She might target a certain demographic. Maybe there's an audience member that really resonate with her. So she's got image on point. There's loads of stuff.
She's really, really good.
She went to Brit School as well as a singer.
She's been honing her craft for a really, really, really long time. Yeah. If I had the same tennis racket as Roger Federer, I'm not going to be as good as Roger Federer still. That's like walking up to a building site. Similar analogy.
Similar, yeah. I don't know. Adele's a very good singer. If you sound like Adele, awesome. I definitely don't.
Only joking, guys. I sound like a screaming cat. Lol.
Okay, yeah, well, you probably won't be as successful as Adele as a singer. Doesn't mean you can't take another approach. You could be an electronic producer. You could be an engineer. There's loads of stuff. You don't have to be... Yeah. Well, if you're not a very good singer, I wouldn't go down the path of trying to be a professional singer.
I think...
Or competing with Adele.
I think it's also important to define what success is for you and what you actually want to achieve, because that's actually very, you know... I mean, I think most people would be happy enough to make a full-time living, you know, on music. Like Matey on the left says, theory will... Who's on the left?
Me,
you.
On the video.
Like Matey on the left says, theory will get you a long way. Hone those core skills before going too far down the line.
Yeah, learn the basics, learn the skills. Then once you've learnt them, then have a look at some more like experimental stuff. Yeah. learn the scales, learn the chords, learn the arpeggios, different types of chords, major chords, minor chords, dominant chords. Yeah. Loads of different chords. Sevenths, minor sevenths, major sevenths, dominant sevenths, extended chords, ninths, 11ths, 13ths. Go through all them, learn all them. And then hopefully once you've learnt them, doesn't mean you have to use them, but you have more of a palette to work from. So say
more tools.
Yeah, so say you've got a palette here, you've only got red, you only got the colour red, you can't really paint anything that exciting, but if you've got red, blue, green, etc., there's a lot more you can paint with.
Far out.
Far out, dude. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for everyone watching. If you've got any more questions, put them there, we'll answer them. If not, we're going to head off in a minute. Yeah, thank you for everyone who's been watching the live stream. Really appreciate it. Digital Music Masters Show, DMM Show, otherwise known as Episode 3, will be next week, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, at 7 PM on Wednesday. So one last question. Any free budget plugins that you would recommend that add to the likes of Live and Logic? So if you're on Ableton Live, if you use Ableton Live, head over to the Ableton website. There's quite a few different free plugins you can use there. Logic one, make sure you download all of the additional content. A lot of people ask me that, how come you haven't got this? How come I haven't got this or this? Have you downloaded all the additional content? So go to the preferences, download all that. What's that? TDR Nova?
TDR Nova.
It's EQ.
Dynamic equalizer.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, thank you for
really good plugin.
Yeah.
TDR Nova is free. Download it. It's good.
Yeah. Cool. There's stuff like Serum. Like you can do that thing on Splice, $10 a month. It's not free, but in my opinion, it's worth it. If you use Ableton Live 10, some of the new stuff on that's awesome, like the drum bus effect, the wavetable. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway,
cheers, Eamon.
Thank you for watching. This live stream. If you want to join the Facebook group, head over to Digital Music Masters Facebook group on Facebook. And if you've got any comments, questions, put them below. Thank you for watching, and we'll hopefully see you in Digital Music Masters show, DMM show, episode 3.